From NBC News, this is Today with Katie Couric and Matt Lauer. Live from Studio 1A in Rockefeller Plaza.
All right. Also ahead, George Michael is back. He's got a brand new CD. He's going to perform a couple of numbers live in our studio. We look forward to that. Coming up, he made his mark with the upbeat pop group Wham. Now George Michael is back in the solo spotlight. He'll perform live in our studio.
But first, your local news.
Flashback to the 1980s. People were dirty dancing. Stonewashed jeans were in, and a singer-songwriter by the name of George Michael was climbing the charts.
The year is 1987. Fans on both sides of the Atlantic put faith in George Michael's solo debut.
'Cause I gotta have faith.
His sexy songs, infused with social commentary and pop hooks, became international hits. Success continued into the 90s. And his duet with Elton John topped the charts. But after suffering personal losses and a much publicized incident with the police in 1998, we rarely heard from him until now. It's been 8 years since this artist, who has sold more than 80 million records worldwide, released an album of original material, and audiences have been waiting with patience.
George Michael, good morning. Good to have you here.
Good morning. I think I need to point out that even though they were very much a part of the times, I never wore stonewashed jeans.
No, you didn't?
I wore old
You had
jeans.
other fashion sins.
Old jeans. I've made lots of fashion mistakes, but stonewashed jeans was not one of them.
I stand corrected, and I hate to say, I did have stonewashed jeans. People are saying it's your comeback. How do you feel about that term?
I don't know if I don't know if I would think of it as a comeback. I think of it as me kind of coming here to touch base with my old fan base and really kind of apologise to them for not being around for a while. I mean, whether or not it's a comeback, we'll have to see. But I think it's more, from my own personal reasons anyway, it's more about actually letting people from America know that there were reasons I haven't been here.
When you talk about your old fan base and apologizing, saying, here's why I haven't been around, any fear as an artist that you'd get back and they'd say, thanks, George, but we've moved on?
Not really. I think America, in many ways, musically has moved on from what I do. What I do is very much R&B, pop, straight down the middle. And American radio seems to be very much hip-hop and country, and things are kind of more fragmented now. But even though the times have changed everywhere, I'm pretty sure that the people who bought my records in the 80s will pretty much love this record. So it's not really about the way the new kind of fan, the new audience generation. I'm not trying to hook up with them. I'm trying to re-hook up with the people that you know, that I grew up with.
Let's go through some of the reasons you were gone, all right? And let's get the arrest out of the way. 6 years ago, you were arrested for what I think the term would be a lewd act in a bathroom in Los Angeles. And the question I heard more often than any other at the time was, here's a megastar. He can afford privacy. He knows what he has to risk. Why take the chance?
Well, I think it's all there in the question, isn't it? It's all there in the question. But I mean, I don't honestly want to linger on that. I would say...
But I don't know what you mean by it's all there in the question.
I'd say, yeah, exactly. He has privacy. The whole point, if people don't actually understand the principle of cruising for gay men, but it's nothing to do with necessity. And that's something that I think straight people don't understand. But rather than go through all that, I would say the point is I was feeling self-destructive. I'd been through a very hard time for various reasons for several years, and I think it was a very, very kind of twisted way of getting rid of what was, as far as I was concerned, the last remaining secret in my life, which was a secret with the public. Because in my life itself, I've been out with my friends for the best part of 14 years.
When you went on CNN and said to that audience, by the way, I'm a homosexual, most of the people I knew said, I don't think that's a big surprise.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, the funny thing is, actually, I think that the truth is that actually, whether you're gay or straight, as a man, I think a lot of kind of the softer elements of who you are in your early 20s are gone by the time you're 40. And funnily enough, I think now that people know I'm gay, I probably appear less gay than I did at 22, because, I mean, you look at the videos, and I'm sorry, who needed to be told?
You didn't need a sign, did you?
Just, you know, I've got curtain rings in my ears, and I'm wearing day glow, and rolling my eyes, and I didn't know I was gay, you know?
You were the last one to figure out.
Absolutely. There were other people, you know, I was 22 years old, and there were people much older than me. I'm quite sure a lot of gay ones thinking, boy, work it out, you know, get there, because I certainly didn't know at that particular time.
Let me get a little serious for a second, because you talk about some of the things you were going through in your life, and I did not know until reading to prepare to talk to you today that you had some very serious losses in your life.
Yeah, I think something that I really would like to point out on behalf of the gay community as well as myself is that I want people to realise, they'll probably remember a point. The easiest way to pinpoint this is Frank Sinatra's letter to me, open letter to the Los Angeles Times in the early 90s, because I had decided that the level of fame I achieved at 24 with Faith, 24, 25, that was kind of too much for me. Fame in this country as a solo artist is it's a big deal, you know, and that level of fame, I was #1 album for 2 Christmases in a row. It was, I think I walked around in those aviators all day, every day. I think I slept in them for a year because I was so freaked at the amount of attention that was being pointed directly at me. So I did make an effort to step back, and I said I was going to stop promoting, stop touring, stop really being present for a while, because I was really quite freaked out. And so I think people need to remember that. I didn't disappear in 1998 with the arrest. I'd kind of disappeared in 1991 after the big hit single with Elton.
But what I was getting to is you lost a partner.
Yes, and in between, on top of those decisions, in between, I lost a partner, I lost my mother, I lost a court case, I lost 2 vertebrae out of my back,
So
you know, all kinds of weird things.
How tough was it getting back into music and being free as an artist after you've been through all this?
Well,
some artists might say, you know what, they added to my creativity.
Yeah.
It's all stuff I brought to the process.
I think I'm a much better singer-songwriter in 2004 than I was before all that tragedy. To be honest, I'd probably rather be a slightly worse songwriter and still have those people around in my life. But there's no question, misery feeds into creativity. I just can't do it at the time. And actually, my mother's death threw me into a nearly 4-year depression, which in itself stopped me from writing. So there are all kinds of reasons that I've been away and that I'm only just now really fighting fit again.
Some People magazine said the album, quote, demonstrates why the British star should have been and could still wind up being, if he doesn't stick to his claim that this will be his last CD, the Elton John of his generation. You still have something to prove, do you think, in this business? Anything
To myself,
you'd like to prove?
no. To myself, no. I think... I suppose it would be nice if this album took off, because it would give the impression that the only reason I hadn't been successful in America was because I hadn't been here, you know?
Let me just say, you're going to sing for us in our next half hour.
I am indeed.
Yes, I gotta have faith.
The Toyota Concert Series on today. Get the feeling.
It has been 8 years since George Michael released an album of original material, but fans with faith have now been rewarded. He's out with the CD Patience. George Michael, good morning again. Good to see you. Let's talk touring, all right? We were about to talk that as we went to commercial. Are you going to tour for this album?
I may be touring next year. I mean, and obviously, if I tour, I'll come to the States. And I guess the extent of the tour would depend on whether the album did really well.
Well, but why do you do it that way? A lot of artists would say, okay, the album comes out Friday, I'm going on the road Friday to make sure that it does okay.
Yeah. Well, because I very rarely treat a tour as a promotional exercise. I like to go out there and sing songs to people when they know them, rather than sell the album during the concert. You
so
know,
the audience can move with you as opposed to talking to their neighbor saying, what is the name of this song again?
Well, exactly. You want people to be fully behind the concert. So it's nice to play a few new tracks, but I think when people go out and play their new album, it tends to bore the audience a little bit.
Talk to me a little bit about duets. You've done some great ones over the years with Aretha, with Elton, Smokey Robinson. Anybody out there right now you'd like to pick up the phone and call and say, let's do a song together?
Well, I already have, actually, because the contract I have with Sony is for this album and for a couple of tracks for a duets album, because I've been really lucky. I've sung with Elton and Queen, Aretha, Whitney, and Mary J, people like that. It's a great album. I've been so lucky. And I do have a couple of really great names for the duets, but I'm not going to jinx them by
You're going to hold them to yourself.
I've already spoken to a couple of artists.
What are you going to sing right now?
Oldie but Goldie.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, George Michael.